Welcome to the podcast, Talking to Brick Walls, a podcast for parents of teenagers with author and speaker Mike Donahue and co-host Kelly Dempster. Welcome, everybody, to the very first podcast with Mike Donahue and co-host Kelly Dempster.
Hello, hello.
We are excited to start this new podcast. We have doing a lot to help parents deal with their teenager. It's not an easy thing to do. Teenagers get really weird when they turn, 12, 13 years old. Kids get really kind of cryptic about information and all that kind of stuff. So we are excited for this podcast. We're going to bring on guests. We're going to bring some experts in. We're going to be talking about everything. We're going to get real. But before we do that, we're going to introduce ourselves a little bit. This is Kelly Dempster, like I said. She's from O'Neill, Nebraska. And Kelly, tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, I live in O'Neill. I've been here for just over 10 years, but I'm originally from a really small town, like 800 people. So I'm here in O'Neill. I've got 3 kids and just a wife, and I have a teenager too. She's just now, she's 13. She'll be 14 in a little while. But when you say it gets weird, it's like, I know what that feels like. I know I'm in the thick of that right now, trying to navigate that world. So I think it's just really cool to kind of appreciate the connections that we build along our way through life, I guess. And that's what brought us together through previous work and just, the networking that we do in life. I was so grateful to have met you at a school that you were talking at, because as soon as I heard you talk, it's like, not just kids need to hear you talk, but parents need to hear you talk, because that very first day you helped me when I got a phone call from the school for one of my other kids. And you taught me a lot in just that one speaking engagement. And so not only parents and kids, it's just, there's so much wisdom to come from the experience that you've had. You've been all over and you've met so many different people. So I'm excited because you've helped me grow as a person. I think one of the times you told me I had imposter syndrome, and it's like, I took that to heart, and I did a lot of work, and the growth that I've had even in the time we've met is like, I want to share this with others, because it's really cool. Just like maybe the simple things we're missing as parents, that you kind of normalize the small things and maybe how we can connect with our kids by not overdoing it. That's kind of what I learned in the moment of how we met, is kind of reverse psychology on them, asking them how they felt versus me trying to instill that into them and that value into them. I want them to know it and feel it. And I just want to be there to help them grow in that. And you kind of taught me that. So I'm excited to be here with you today and share the wisdom.
Well, that's awesome. I remember that day because you were working for the health department up there in the O'Neill area, and I was doing, what was the name of that school I was doing?
Summerland, yes.
Summerland, yes. I spoke there, and you came out, and I didn't know who you were. I mean, a lot of times when I'm speaking in schools, that's what I do for a living, by the way. I'm a school speaker. I speak on intrinsic value. I help young people understand that they have true intrinsic value. It's a program called Value Up, and that's the idea, is to help kids really understand their true value. And so I was there at Sutherland, and again, they have people come and watch me speak, or they from the different departments, different areas in education and health departments and things like that. And you were there. And immediately, though, I was like, this girl, she's, as we talked afterwards and that kind of thing, I knew that, you not only are a parent, but you kind of have your heartbeat set on helping young people across the county and where you're from. And I think that's awesome. So that's cool. I want to back up a little bit and tell the people about me a little bit, why I do what I do and why you should listen to me, because I'm smart. I come from Boston, Massachusetts. I grew up there in a dysfunctional home, pretty messed up situation. My dad left when I was 5. My mom was really not equipped to have children, in my opinion. She came from a long line of abuse. So she brought that into the relationship with her kids, and it got pretty traumatic at times. I self-medicated with drugs and alcohol, mainly pot and alcohol. Went through that kind of 70s teenage life, just crazy, and um, got emancipated as a minor. So when I was 16 years old, I got into a domestic violence situation where I ended up in the hospital. And so the state came in and put me in the foster care system, but they just emancipated me basically. And so they gave me some money till I graduated from high school. And I did. I got through high school, graduated, got in the military. And that's how I came out to the Midwest. I was stationed at Offutt Air Force Base in Nebraska, got involved with church work. It was weird because there was a girl that came up and asked me if I want to go to church, and she was pretty good looking. So I was like, I would join a cult with you. So I ended up going to this church, not knowing what was going to go on. I had no idea. I grew up Catholic, but I really wasn't Catholic. I was just kind of there. But anyways, I went to this church, and this isn't a church program. We don't get into church stuff in schools because that's illegal. But that was a catalyst for me to change my life and understand that I did have value. And so I became a youth pastor, got involved with youth ministry in the Assemblies of God. I had a great time. Uh, Went up to Rockville, Illinois. I worked in a school. That was really good for me to work in a high school. It was a Christian school, probably about 60, 70 kids per class, so about the size of O'Neill. And I had a blast. I mean, I really learned a lot about school culture and how to help kids have agency and help them see their value and how that affects the school and their social world. So that was great. I was there for 5 years, left there, went to Denver. I was there at a mega church, another mega church. And after I left there, I got hired back to Bellevue, Nebraska. So Bellevue, Nebraska hired me back. And that was where I originally, started going to church. And I took over their youth ministry. But the first year I was in Bellevue, the Columbine tragedy happened out in Colorado. And it turned out that two of the kids that were killed in that were in my youth group. So Rachel Scott and Cassie Burnell were both part of my youth ministry. And so huge effect on me. I mean, I just wanted, I saw what was happening. I had been dealing with teenagers at this point up to 10 years. So I watched a lot of things happen that contributed to that, situation in Columbine. So I was like, I love my church work, but I really wanted to get into schools and try to make a difference, try to help kids, not with a religious message, but with a message of hope and a message of value. And that's what we did. We started a school assembly program. I was really kind of nervous about it because school assembly programs can be stupid. I mean, I remember the dumb ones. I think my principal had like a brother-in-law that was like an old stoner, and he would come and talk to us, but it was like kind of nuts because he was like, boys and girls, I did drugs. And you're like, yeah, I mean, probably today too, right? I mean, it's just crazy stuff. And so I never liked them. I never thought they were effective, but we started like talking to kids, not at them, right? Or with them, right? Trying to
Yeah.
pull out what's really happening with them. And because of that, I think I've gained some knowledge on, what it's like to be them, to walk in their shoes and to understand the pressures that they face every single day. And a good speaker does that. A good speaker tries to put themselves in the place of the people that they're speaking to. So you're not answering questions that they're not asking, right? You want to answer questions that they're asking. And so that really became an education for me. The first 4 or 5 years I was doing schools was just asking a lot of questions like, what are you dealing with? What's going on? And seeing that happen. So about 2011, I started writing a book called Talking to Brick Walls, and it became this is it here. Um, it's really helped a lot of parents. It really what it comes down to is connection. Like I just want to help parents connect with their kids. I can't tell you how many times after an assembly, a kid will come up to me and talk to me about their world and what's happening, and then they'll say, "I wish I could tell my parents what I just told you." And I'm like, "Why can't you?" And they're like, "Well, my parents, they wouldn't understand, or, they would judge me, I would hurt them or whatever." And there's that disconnect because parents want that information, right? They want to know what's happening with the child because, bad things could be happening. They could be dealing things in their head that are hard to manage, right? And so they want to know but that barrier, that wall comes up.
To receive that as a parent, I think we want to make them feel better right away, and we don't want them to go through that. So I think it's just really beneficial to stay tuned to further episodes to learn how you, like I was writing down, how do you deal with the issues the kids are going to bring to you, and how do you stay a safe place, even though as a parent you're freaking out inside and you want to protect them. But you help a lot, and I'm excited to get into the nitty gritty of that.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do with this podcast. We're going to get into the nitty gritty and be real about, what it's like to be a parent too. Like when they do shut down, when they stop talking to you all of a sudden, when they were little, they were like, bah, 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 bah. Most kids are just won't shut up. Right. I mean, I have 5 and 4 girls and a boy, and even my son, I mean, just chatty, chatty, chatty. But they turn 12, they turn 13, they start getting cryptic and, more private about that. And what do you do as a parent? That freaks you out. It's like, wow, they were talking to me yesterday and now all of a sudden, they're not. And so we're going to get into that. We're going to break down some of those things. You can order the book too. You can go to our website. It's value-up.org, value-up.org. And on the top tab there's a parent section. Go to that landing page and it has all kinds of resources for you. You could actually sign up you can get a free chapter of the book. And if you just put your email information in there and your name and that kind of thing, and I'll send you immediately the free. The chapter that we're going to send you is called Hidden in Plain Sight, and it's the idea that they have a private life going on and they live it right in front of you because they're on their phones and they're just kind of living in their own little world. And now this phone, the phones have made it really easy for them just to hide. And so that chapter is really good because it kind of tells you what happened and goes into some image management stuff. And
Yeah.
it's really good. So if you go to our website, value-up.org, go to the parent section and then, fill out that form and we'll send you some information and also that chapter. And so, yeah, we want to break into this, get into some stuff, Kel, right?
You get questions. Is there questions at the end of your chapters, or you put questions in there for parents to ask kids, right?
Right. Right. The book is
That's
totally
so
about you
helpful.
connecting with your kid. It's not about, it's a transformation. I want to transform your relationship with your child from it being maybe, shut down right now, or at least, weird, to it being something that, you can have a dialogue with them
Right.
and you can be talking about what's going on in their life and they can be honest, somewhat
Right.
about what's going on. So yeah, after every chapter, there is 5 or 6 questions that you can, ask your child. And it starts out pretty vague, on the subject that we're talking about in that chapter, but then it gets down to the nitty gritty. Like the 5th or 6th question is like, where are you at with this kind of thing? But
Yeah.
you've kind of, it's like a funnel, you've started out kind of wide and then it gets pretty
Yeah.
detailed towards the end. But
Once you open the conversation, like you said, you kind of build on it. So each week, I think it gets easier for the parent and the kid to kind of have that conversation. It feels good to be connected. So it's like with the proper questions, it really helps us be better parents. Because I think I really am in real time having those like fight or flight freeze moments with what my teenager's telling me, but I'm like trying to keep it cool. And these questions really help me to like get through the moment and then go back to those questions because there's something in there that's going to help.
right. And I think what parents need to really understand is that just like anything, if you're going to be successful at anything, right, your job, a marriage, it takes strategy. Like you really need a strategy. You need to understand what's happening to this human being that's living in your house, biologically, emotionally, socially. There's a huge change coming when they turn
Right.
13. And so you should have a strategy. And another thing that we're offering as well is an online course. It's a strategy. It takes you from, no communication to a place where you feel comfortable and feel like you can have that dialogue. And there's are working, this is good stuff going on between you.
Yeah.
So you have that, you don't have that weight. I think a lot of parents, you can have the CEO, right? A guy that's killing it, or a woman that's killing it at work. They're doing great. And then they'll look at you like, well, I'm doing great at work, but my 8th grade daughter won't talk to me, or,
Yeah.
my son won't thinks I'm, the devil or whatever. And so, I want to help that. I want to give you a strategy that's going to help you go from, where it's not really happening right now to a thriving, healthy communication, relationship. So yeah, I mean, get on our website and scroll down and get onto that parent page, and we are going to give you some tools. So,
Yes.
and
It's
then
like
come
our
back.
first time parenting, it's our first time. We need a roadmap.
Yeah, we need a
You know,
roadmap.
we're, every day is the first day. We're
Yeah,
learning as they're learning too. So there's no shame in being prepared and having a plan.
exactly right. Kelly, I'm excited. I'm so glad that you're on with me. The reason and I'm just going to be honest with the audience, the reason I picked Kelly is because, and I've got a lot of friends. I got some people that I could bring on, and we'll have experts on for sure. But I wanted her on because she's a mom in the trenches. She's a mom doing it every day. That, my kids are all grown and up, and I'm dealing with this sort of from a 30-foot view, looking down at it, where Kelly's in the middle of it. And I thought it'd be
Yes.
great to have her perspective. And she's got kids coming up. So if this podcast is successful and we keep going, she'll be here for a long time.
I will hope so. But yes, I think that's great. You like see it from that upper view. So it's very helpful to have that view to kind of help guide parents. We all need that. So I think
Yeah,
it's
but
super
it's
important.
also really good to have you here because you're right in the thick of it. And so I'm excited to have both of us, on here, just, sharing and talking and just dialoguing. And just so you know, this podcast is it's going to be pretty, casual. We're just going to talk about the real stuff and get into it. So like us on YouTube and go to the YouTube channel. It's Talking to Brick Walls. Just go to that channel, or you can just follow us on the website. Thank you so much. So have a great day, and Kelly, thanks for being here.
Till next time. Can't wait.
Bye.